All right, guys, MODFRAME just came out. Looking at the mainframe versus the MODFRAME here. Every time we come out with a new product, one of the things that always happens is there's just questions about, well, what is different between that and this? Is this replacing that? Jackson, from your time in customer service, what do you think are gonna be the main questions that people ask? And let's talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think there will be like some aesthetic things that stand out first that are gonna bring up some questions like what is now like the new meat shelf, or what takes place at the meat shelf. Obviously everyone's familiar with our 90-degree frame here. Mainframe's great. One downfall to it is a lot of the weight ends up just resting in this location because it's a fixed shelf in one spot. The nice upgraded feature with the MODFRAME is we've got this adjustable load panel that takes place at the shelf now, and it's adjustable in 4 different locations. And then you could get that to rest right here, and that load would be a lot higher up on your back.
When you're talking about lengthening it, you're talking about extending these straps
so
it sits lower, right?
Yep.
And so then like if it ends up sitting low down here, elk quarter's obviously thick enough that like you don't have a lot of like this panel left.
You're always gonna have these 2 compression straps that are on the MODFRAME at all times. So you could strap your quarter down. We've even done a head and cape and a quarter all at one time. Just with those 3 compression features alone, you're gonna have a super stable load.
You have auto locking buckles on these.
Auto locking buckles, yeah, huge upgrade. So there's not anything that's gonna get these buckles to slip with those auto locking features there. So
the other thing is you can move these buckles up or down, right? So we got the extra webbing loops.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions you could put those in.
The biggest thing, like for me, noticing the difference in how it carries has been around the waist, right? So between the thicker lumbar pad, the thicker hip belt, and then like the improved mesh, keeps it way tighter around your waist. You don't have to do that like little jump and bounce thing to try and get the weight back up.
Greg was just talking about the lumbar pad. It does have this grip on there, so it is gonna stick in one spot, which is nice. And then
so there's silicone strips. If you can see these horizontal repeating pattern.
This pad in here, you can obviously see, I mean, quite a bit thicker. Another upgrade that you'll notice, stabilizer straps here on the frame that connect to the hip belt. So like with the main frame, if you've got a heavy load on here, you're gonna have some sway back and forth. But with these new stabilizer straps, once you have your load on, if you just give them a little bit of tension, it's gonna stop the bottom of the pack from swinging or swaying it all back and forth. So yeah, with the new frames and the new suspension system, we're no longer gonna have to worry about the whole regular versus tall, like how long your torso is. The suspension system's way more adjustable. There's a lot more room to play here. So super simple. You just break that foam apart and then you can adjust these shoulder straps individually, depending on whether your torso is 20 inches or 15 inches, you'll still be able to use this whole suspension system. So
in my experience testing this, it's really important that you are careful about making sure that you line these up, right?
That is true.
So you do want to measure them or come up with something to make sure, like eyeball test, they may look like they're even. If they're not, and you put 100 pounds on this frame, you'll feel that. But it's extremely comfortable, it's way more convenient. And then probably the last thing that I think is worth talking about for sure is the density and the thickness of the foam in the shoulder harness is also kind of equal to what we did with the hip belt.
The edges of this shoulder pad where it's gonna be, touching your neck.
We basically turn that inside out, and so you don't have that same piping, you just have a seam there. It's a much more soft, comfortable, like kind of touch if it does come to your neck. Yeah, so the sternum strap is the other big difference. So on the main frame, we basically just had this buckle clip assembly. When you went to go tighten this down, it could pull this kind of across your chest. And what we've done on the MODFRAME, we've done this on a lot of our newer pack, strap assembly that goes around the entire thing. So when you pull on it, it's not pulling that across your chest.
And one thing we did with the MODFRAME here is with the old mainframe, attaching the E-Mod lid in this kind of strange place behind the load lifter and the ladder lock buckle there, we now actually have like a official loop for that. And then we also have one down here at the bottom. So like if you were just using your lid, you could have it super nice and tight and compressed. They're super durable. We put them through vigorous testing for a few years now. So not that we think anything's gonna happen, but everything could be taken apart. And so if you need to replace something or something happens to it, just reach out and we'll get you covered.
MODFRAME and MAINFRAME are now the 2 different frames of the Eberlestock modular system, E-Mod. So anything that has worked in the past on the MAINFRAME still works on the MODFRAME. Anything that's new with the MODFRAME, like the Brooks pack, also works on the MAINFRAME. So if you've bought into the MAINFRAME and the E-Mod system, you can just get the MODFRAME. If you like the Brooks pack, but you want to keep your MAINFRAME, you can do that. If you guys have any more questions, use GearPro. You guys can email in questions to Jackson's team, and basically we'll come down here and do a more custom video for you. So if you want to know more about the zippers, the buckles, the hip belt, doesn't matter. You get to talk to humans here at Eberlestock. We're really really proud of that. Other than that, check out the other information on YouTube or eberlestock.com. And as always, get out there.